Certainly. Here's part one of the story. Humans are dormant war gods, and a fool just broke the seal in simple basic English third-person style, at around 800 words, and interesting without any violated content. Part 1. The silent species. The galaxy was quiet. For many centuries, no one had heard from humans. They were once the strongest species in the stars. But now, they were only stories, legends told by other races. Many believed humans had gone extinct or had left the galaxy forever. The Gralvek, Osiari and Trelk were young races compared to humans. They had heard old tales about how humans fought great wars and controlled many planets. Some said humans were like gods in battle, powerful and unstoppable. But humans had chosen to hide, to sleep beneath the ground, waiting for a time to come back, on the small planet Earth. Covered in green forests and blue oceans, no one had lived for a very long time. Earth was forgotten, cities were ruins, and its machines stopped. The galaxy's new powers looked at Earth with little interest, but one alien wanted to know more. His name was Vulek. He was a scholar from the Osiari nomads, a race known for exploring lost places and learning old secrets. Vulek had spent years searching for signs of humans. He believed Earth held answers. When Vulek landed on Earth, the sky was clear and the air was still. The ground was soft under his boots. He walked carefully through the ruins of a city. Strange. Symbols were carved on broken walls, but no one understood them. Deep under the soil, in a place no light had touched for centuries, Vulek found something. It was a large vault, made of metal and stone, sealed tight. It had an old warning written, in a language no one used anymore: Seal protocol, do not breach. Vulek's heart beat fast. This was a discovery no one had made before, but the warning made him hesitate. He looked around and thought, what if this seal hides something dangerous? Curiosity won. Vulek carefully touched the seal and pressed a hidden button. The vault door slowly opened with a deep, rumbling sound. Dust and cold air escaped from inside. Inside the vault were many strange pods. They looked like giant glass tubes, glowing faintly. Inside each pod was a human. But these humans were not normal. Their bodies were tall and strong, their skin glowing with soft light. They looked like sleeping giants. Vulek felt both fear and wonder. Who were these humans? Why had they been kept here? Suddenly a low hum filled the vault. Pods began to open one by one. From the darkness, a voice spoke clearly inside Vulek's mind. It was calm and powerful. The seal is broken. War. Gods awaken. Outside, the sky above Earth changed. Lightning crackled across the clouds, and strange colors danced like fire. The ground shook gently. Somewhere far away, a hidden city began to glow with light. The new rulers of the galaxy. The High Galactic Concord quickly noticed the changes on Earth. They sent their strongest ships to investigate. But as the ships reached Earth's orbit, something strange happened. The ships disappeared without a trace. No explosions, no distress signals, just silence. Panic spread among the Concord leaders. They did not understand what was happening. Back on Earth, the pods opened fully. The humans inside stepped out. Their eyes shone with a strange light. They moved with slow, careful steps. They were no longer ordinary humans. They were something more. One of them, tall and calm, stepped forward. His name was Commander Kale Saren. He looked at Vulek and spoke with quiet strength. You have awakened us. Now we must remember. Kale's voice was deep but gentle. He did not shout or threaten. Instead, he seemed sad, as if he remembered a long, hard past. Vulek was afraid. He only wanted to learn about humans. Now he had released a power the galaxy had not seen in centuries. The other humans, called war forms, began to gather. They looked around Earth with eyes full of memory and questions. They knew their past was filled with war and strength. Now they saw a galaxy different from the one they had left. The story of the silent species was no longer just a myth. The humans were awake again. Would you like me to continue with part 2? Certainly. Here is part 2 of the story. Humans are dormant war gods, and a fool just broke the seal in simple, basic English, third-person style, around 800 words, engaging and free from any violated content. Part 2. Awakening the Titans. Sky over Earth glowed with strange colors, like a dance of lights never seen before. Deep beneath the ground, the silence was broken. Hundreds of glass pods began to hiss and open one by one. Inside each pod was a human, but not like the humans the galaxy remembered from stories. These humans were larger, stronger, and their skin shimmered faintly with energy. Commander Kale Sarin stood tall among them. He was calm but powerful, his eyes glowing like stars. Around him, other stirred soldiers made for a purpose long forgotten. But now, waking in a new world, Kale looked up at the sky and said softly, "The seal is broken. We must rise again." Sighed. On the surface, the planet Earth was still and quiet, but the energy beneath was growing. The old cities were crumbling, but the humans moved with purpose. Their minds connected through a shared memory, a history locked away until now. Volek watched with awe and fear. He had only wanted to study the humans, but now he saw their true form. They were not just people. They were war forms, biological weapons, designed by their ancestors to be the strongest fighters in the galaxy. "We are the last of the human Empire's greatest warriors," Kale explained to Vulek. "Long ago, we mastered war and peace, but feared the power we held. So, we sealed ourselves away until the galaxy was ready. But the galaxy had changed. The great wars were over. The high galactic concord ruled with law and peace. Many races lived without fear of battle, so why awaken now?" Kale's second in command, a young warform named Lyra, looked to the stars. With questions in her eyes, she was smaller than Kale, but fierce. "Are we still needed?" she asked. "Our purpose was to fight, but the stars are calm." Kale's gaze was steady. "We must learn. Our power is great, but so is our responsibility." Far above Earth, the Concord's fleet moved cautiously. The leaders did not know what to expect. A powerful human warform was a threat unlike any other. Their ships scanned the planet, searching for signs of danger. Suddenly, a bright flash of light burst from Earth's surface. The entire 7th Concorde Armada vanished gone, without any warning or battle. Panic spread across the Concorde's command center. What force could erase a whole fleet in an instant? The answer was clear now. The warforms had returned. The warforms did not attack without cause. Their first act was to defend their homeworld. When the Concorde sent messages demanding the humans' surrender, Kale answered with calm words. "We are not enemies," Kale said. "We seek only to understand this. Time, not to conquer." But many in the Concorde feared the warforms. They saw only power, not peace. Secret plans were made to destroy the humans before they could grow stronger. Lyra and the others trained daily. Their bodies moved with grace and strength. They tested their limits, learning to control the energy within them. Their minds remembered ancient techniques, but also new ideas. Vulek spent time with the warforms. He learned that they had once ruled many planets, not by numbers, but by skill and will. Each warform was designed to be a living weapon, a god of war in human form. Yet they also had hearts. Kale spoke of honor, loyalty, and a hope to protect the galaxy rather than rule it in secret. Some warforms began to question their past. Had their ancestors been right to hide away? Was war their only destiny? Or could they find a new path? Meanwhile, the galaxy watched. Messages of fear and hope spread from system to system. Some wanted to fight the warforms before they could grow. Others wished to welcome them, to learn from the ancient power reborn. Kale gathered his people. "We will not be the destroyers of this age," he promised. "We will protect the peace. But if the galaxy threatens life, we will stand against it." Lyra stepped forward. "We are not gods to rule," she said. "We are warriors who have learned, now we choose." Vulek felt the weight of what had begun. The galaxy's quiet days were ending. The war gods of old had awakened, but their purpose was still a question. Would they bring war or protection? That choice rested on the new generation of humans, those who had slept for centuries and now stood ready beneath the stars. The future was uncertain. But one thing was clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. Would you like me to continue with part 3? Of course. Here is part 3 of the HFY Sci-Fi story, Humans Are Dormant War Gods and a Fool Just Broke the Seal, written in third-person style, simple basic English, around 800 words, fully clean and engaging. Part 3. Memory of Flame the Warforms walked across the Earth's old land. Where forests grew through ruined buildings and rivers flowed through forgotten roads, the world was silent but full of echoes. Commander Kale, Saren, and the others explored the broken cities, each step waking lost memories. Kale stood before a cracked statue. It was a human warrior holding a broken sword. His eyes narrowed as an old voice whispered in his mind a memory from the past. We became too strong. We won too easily. That is why we left. Kale closed his eyes. Yes, he remembered now. The last days of the human empire were full of fear not of others, but of themselves. Far behind him, young warform Lyra picked up a small cube from the ground. It was an ancient memory device. When she touched it, a soft light filled the air. A woman's voice played. To any who wake, we sealed ourselves not because we lost, but because we won too much. We chose peace over power. Do not forget. Lyra looked up. So, this was a choice, not defeat. Kale nodded slowly. We were not forced into silence. We chose it. In another part of the galaxy, the High Galactic Concord held secret meetings. Leaders of many races sat at a long, round table. Trelk spoke first. The humans have awakened. Their power grows. The Gralvek leader slammed the table. It destroyed our armada with no warning. They only defended their planet, said a soft voice. It was High Speaker Alri of the Osiari. We must not repeat history by attacking too fast, but fear was stronger than patience. Most leaders voted to prepare a new weapon, one that could strike Earth and remove the threat before it grew. Back on Earth, warforms trained together in quiet strength. Their bodies moved like flowing water, their weapons glowing with energy. They did not train for war but for control. They needed to remember who they were. One warform named Juno stood apart. His armor was darker and his eyes more distant. Why do we wait? He asked. They fear us already. Let us show them why. Kale turned to him. If we attack first, we become what we sealed away.
What?
But if we wait too long, Juno said, they may strike first. The question hung heavy in the air. Lyra walked with Vulek along the edge of a broken lake. Trees grew tall around them. Birds sang in the wind. Valek was quiet for a moment. Then he said, you could rule the galaxy. Why don't you? Lyra smiled sadly. Because ruling is easy. Peace is harder. My kind was made for battle, but maybe this time we can be more. Vulek nodded. The Concord does not understand you. They are afraid. Fear is the fire that burns bridges, she replied. Suddenly the sky above them flashed. A strange sound echoed through the wind. Lyra's eyes widened. Something has entered orbit. In space, the Concord's secret weapon had arrived. It was called Sunpires. It's a massive satellite with one purpose to fire a beam that could burn a planet's surface clean. Inside Earth's control chamber, Kale stood before a glowing screen. He saw the weapon. They have chosen fear. He said softly, then we must answer, but not with hate. Kale raised his hand. A signal was sent. A single war form named Terran stepped forward. His body shimmered like silver fire. Destroy the weapon, Kale said, but leave no life lost. Terran launched into the sky, faster than light. In a flash, he was above the clouds, then into space. The Concord weapon locked on him. But before it could fire, Terran vanished, appearing right beside it. A single touch from his glowing hand, and the weapon systems froze. Lights dimmed. Power dropped. Terran placed a small core inside the machine. Then it returned to Earth. The core exploded in silence, not destroying the satellite, but turning it into dust. Not a single Concord life was harmed. But the message was clear. Earth was not helpless. The galaxy trembled. Kale stood before his people. We do not attack, we protect. The galaxy must know we are no longer asleep. Lyra stepped forward, and let them see who we really are, not war gods, but guardians of peace. In the stars above, messages were sent across every system. One line repeated over and over. The war forms have awakened, but they did not strike first. Many in the galaxy began to question. Maybe the humans were not monsters. Maybe they had returned not to rule, but to watch, to guide, and to protect. But peace is fragile. Fear still moved in shadows. The flame of memory had returned. What would the galaxy do with it? The answer was still to come. Would you like me to continue with part 4? Of course. Here is part 4 of the HFY Sci-Fi story. Humans are dormant. War gods and a fool just broke the seal, written in third-person style. Simple, basic English, around 800 words, clean and engaging. Part 4, The Fool's Regret. The news spread. Across the galaxy, like fire and dry grass, the humans, once thought gone forever, were alive, awake, and powerful beyond imagination. Some called them saviors, others called them a threat. But all eyes turned toward Earth. Vulek, the alien scholar who had broken the seal, sat quietly near a ruined fountain. The air was warm, but his heart was heavy. He had wanted to make history, to discover the truth. But now he felt the weight of what he had done. Commander Kale Sarin approached him. You are troubled, Kale said. Vulek looked up. I only wanted to learn. I didn't mean to bring fear to the stars. Kale nodded. Sometimes knowledge opens doors that were locked, for a reason. But you have also reminded us of who we are. I've caused chaos, Vulek whispered. You woke the flame, Kale replied, but it is our choice what to do with it. Meanwhile, high above Earth, the Concord was not silent. Their leaders were angry and afraid. The Cern Piercer weapon had been destroyed without killing a single person. That act showed not only strength, but control. Frightened them even more. They're toying with us, one general shouted. No, said High Speaker Alry of the OCRA. They showed mercy. Mercy is just a delay, replied another leader. We must end them before they decide not to be merciful again. In secret, the Concord prepared their last plan, a second stronger attack, hidden behind peaceful words. A new fleet was sent to Earth, not with weapons open, but with messages of peace. But inside their ships, weapons were ready to fire the moment they saw danger. The fleet landed in Earth's orbit. A message was sent down. We come to talk, the message said. Let us meet. Kale read the message. His eyes narrowed. Bring false peace. Juno, the darker war form, stepped forward. Let me deal with them, though, Kale said. We will show them we are not monsters. Kale, Lyra, and 2 others flew into orbit in a quiet ship. They entered the Concord's command vessel. Inside, the alien leaders greeted them with stiff smiles. Kale could see fear in their eyes. A Concord admiral stepped forward. We thank you for allowing this meeting. Kale bowed slightly. We're not your enemies. You have great power, the admiral said. Power is dangerous. So is fear, Kale replied. Behind his calm voice, he felt tension. The humans could sense the Concord's ships were ready for battle. Lyra stepped forward. You tried. To destroy us, we still came in peace. Why? The Concord leaders said nothing. Then, slowly, the admiral admitted, because we do not understand you. And what we don't understand, we fear. Kale nodded. That is the truth we needed to hear. Back on Earth, Juno watched the skies. His hands tightened into fists. If they attack, we strike harder, he said to the others. But Kale had another plan. In the meeting room, Kale looked at the stars outside the window. Long ago, we were warriors. We won every war. But we feared ourselves, so we sealed our power and we vanished. He turned back to the Concord leaders. Now we are awake again. But we do not wish to rule. We wish to protect. The admiral hesitated. How can we believe that? Kale stepped closer. Because we are here. If we wanted war, we would not be talking now. Suddenly, alarms rang in the Concorde ship. One of the captains had secretly fired a weapon toward Earth. A powerful energy beam shot from space, aimed at an area near the human vault. Kale's eyes flashed. You lied? He turned to Lyra. Stop the beam. Lyra vanished in a blur of light. In seconds, she reached Earth's sky and raised her hands. A golden shield of energy formed above the ground. The weapon's beam struck the shield, but it didn't break. The ground shook. Trees burned, but no life was lost. Kale looked back at the Concorde leaders. This was your final chance. The admiral fell silent. He had no words. Kale and the warforms left the ship without harm? They returned to Earth, where Lyra stood strong beneath the fading energy. You saved them, Kale said. We protect, she replied. That night, the sky above Earth was calm again. The Concorde fleet quietly left orbit. They had seen enough. The humans had the power to destroy. But they had chosen not to. Vulek stood at the edge of the forest and watched the stars. I broke the seal, he whispered. But maybe that was not the mistake I thought it was. Kale stood beside him. Sometimes the galaxy needs to be reminded that peace is not weakness. We are not asleep anymore, but we still choose peace. Lyra looked at the stars. Let them come. This time we are ready not for war, but for something greater. The war gods had returned, but their path was still their own to choose. Shall I continue with the final part 5? Certainly. Here's part 5 of the HFY Sci-Fi story, Humans Are Dormant, War Gods and a Fool Just Broke the Seal, written in third-person style, simple basic English. Around 800 words, engaging and free of any violated content. Part 5, The Choice. Of the gods, the stars were quiet above Earth, but the galaxy was not. Every planet and system talked about the humans now awake and strong again. Some were afraid, others hoped, but all wanted to know, what would the warforms do next? Commander Kale Saren stood before the gathered leaders of the High Galactic Concorde. The meeting was held on a neutral space station between stars, where no one had the advantage. Kale's eyes were calm and strong as he spoke. We are no longer silent watchers, Kale said. We are awake, and we see the galaxy. We have power beyond any army, but power alone is not our choice. A voice from the Concorde spoke. Why did you seal yourselves away? Why return now? Kale answered. We sealed ourselves because our strength was too great. We feared what we might become. But the galaxy changed. Now, peace has lasted long enough that we believe we can walk without destroying. Lyra, the young warform, stepped forward. We choose to protect, not to conquer. Leaders listened closely. Some were still doubtful, but many felt hope. They asked, if you are guardians, will you help keep peace? Kale nodded. Yes, we offer a pact. We will stand watch over the galaxy. If any threaten life, we will stop them. The pact was not easy. It required trust from both sides. But it was the beginning of a new time. The warforms were not rulers. They were protectors. Back on Earth, Vulek watched the sky. He had been called many things: the fool, the scholar, the breaker of seals, but now he saw something new. He saw a future where humans and aliens could live together, stronger than before. Children on distant worlds looked up at the stars, imagining the stories of the warforms. They dreamed of heroes who once slept, but now stood ready to guard the peace. Not all were happy. Some warlike races still feared the warforms. They whispered of rebellion, of war. But the warforms were patient. They knew peace was hard to keep, but worth fighting for. One night, under a bright moon on Earth, Kale, Lyra, and Vulek stood together. Kale said, we are not gods to rule. We are guardians to protect. Lyra smiled. The galaxy has given us a choice. We will not fail. Vulek looked at them and nodded. The fool who woke the gods is ready to help them walk a better path. So, the war gods walked again, not as conquerors, but as watchers and protectors of the galaxy. The silent stars held new light now. The future was open, and full of hope. The end. Would you like me to help with anything else, such as turning this into a full story text or making a summary?